Good morning, everyone. I have a good news for you. You're 12 minutes away from coffee break. I don't know if it's a good news or not. But so we are Assist. Today we're not going to talk about us too much, but we're going to talk about a philosophy that we're trying to apply to make better conversational UI. And it starts with the Air Force. And I think the Air Force in 1950s heavily invested in jet-powered engine. And when they got those planes, what they saw is that a lot of pilots died. And in the worst day, 17 pilots died in the same day. And after blaming the training, blaming the pilot themselves, they realized there was something wrong about the cockpit. The cockpit was actually designed for what they thought was the average pilot size in the 1920s. And so they took all the pilot size, get 10 dimensions, put all the average of dimensions, and designed the cockpit of those jet planes. And what it turns out, when you're designing for the average, it doesn't fit anybody actually, right? So like probably when you are looking for a shirt, if it's designed for the average, there's always something wrong. Is it the sleeve or whatever, right? And so Todd Rose actually wrote a book about the end of average, and this is actually how we like to think about how we design conversational bot. And so today, we're going to talk about three things: tree flows, writing copy, and errors. And I don't know if you're familiar with me or you know me, but for those who don't, I'm from France, and this is probably why you're wondering why this guy on stage is wearing like pastel pants. But so now you know. And but that's not the topic of today. But I'm from France, and I love drinking coffee. And when I drink coffee and when I ask for coffee, this is how we drink coffee in France, right? I don't know this guy, though, but yeah. And so when I came to America 10 years ago, I went to a Starbucks, and I ordered coffee, and this is what I got, right? And I was like, with my French accent, I was like, no, this is not a coffee. I asked for a small coffee, like the small one. And the guy was like, oh, you want an espresso? I was like, whatever, it's a coffee. Yeah, I want that. And so when I came back the day after, he said, oh, you're the espresso guy, and gave me what I wanted. And this is the perfect example of not designing for average, because a coffee in America on average looks like this. And so really when we came to that space, we all focused on this message. How do you talk to your customer? And this message obviously could be an image, it could be a video, but all it comes down to is really a message. And how hard can this be, right? A lot of people, and even us, when we started, we said, well, it's great. We're going to build a bunch of tree flows, go down with this, and it's all done. And I'm designing for the happy path for the thing that I think my customer want. And it turns out that's the worst idea you can ever do when building a bot. Do not build tree flows. And so for us, it's really about building relationships. All you care at the end of the day is to build a relationship with the customer so they can come back to you and actually are happy with the experience that they have with you, right? Not building a bunch of tree flows that you think your customer wants. And that's the major market shift here, is that because of the web, you had designer thinking that placing a button here was the best way to put people in that flow. But you are in an interface where people tell you what they want. And so thinking about this is really about relationship design. And so when you think about how to write that copy or understand, to us there's two things. There's what you understand and what you remember. And so on the left, what you understand is really about, the new thing in this industry, which is natural language processing or understanding. And you can see here I have three things: temperature, coffee drink, and milk. And so how do you answer to that? Well, if the size is required or the flavor is optional, if the size is required, I'm going to ask for the size. And so in here, I can say, great, your order is on the way once I have the size. On the right side, you have the CRM type of data of things that you remember. And so while we think this bubble is great already, if I know your name, I can say, hey, great, Amanda. Or if I know you came before, I can say, welcome back, and your order is on the way. And so really for us is a revolving cycle between what you understand and what you remember. But ultimately, what you understood is going to become what you remember in the next time. And so also really understanding the entities between what you understood, it's also something that you're going to remember in the previous order. And so for us, it's not about new versus returning customers, right? It doesn't matter. It's what matters is how much you know about them. And this is the difference between acquaintance as best friends. I might run into you 30 times, but I still don't know if you're married or you have kids, right? And so it's not new versus returning, it's how much you know about your customer. And so how does that work? So basically here, you cannot write hello Amanda, but you can use values that you get from different experience and different questions to write that copy. And so once you have the name, you can write with this. When you have your drink, when you know the temperature here, you ask for the size. So it's about writing with what you know, asking for what you don't, right? So it's writing copy for what you don't know. And that's a completely mind shift. And so once you get this, then you get all of the data that you can remember and understand, and all of a sudden you could just ask one question. Hey, do you want your usual on Monday? Yes, right? And then you get to that. And so this is actually our tool in our platform. And this bubble is really powerful because it helps you understand how to write copy. And you have this menu where you can leverage platform data or also API call data. And here it's really important to understand what's not available at this step down below, such as the price. So once you collect that, then you can write that bubble. And so relationship design is really not what you say you do, but how you respond to your customer. And then you can delight the customer afterwards. So for us, it's really about 3 pillars. 3 pillars about understanding, memory, and data connection. And natural language understanding is on the left. You have what you remember on the right. And then down below, you need API data to actually get that order done. And so you can see also that you're leveraging the values that you get from the API data, such as pickup time. I'm returning the pickup time, so I can write copy with this. And I can say, hey, hello, Amanda, your order is going to be there in 3 minutes. And so a lot of people are telling me, but what if you don't understand? Nothing is magic, right? Our co-founder doesn't say AI, he say EI. It's eventual intelligence. We're not there yet. And so there's a lot of things that we don't understand. And here, when you ask for wine in a coffee shop, and this is the reason why Starbucks sell wine now, is that, yes, you can say we don't serve wine, but in the back end, you can say, hey, by the way, somebody asked for wine. And the more you ask, the more you add here. And when you get the list of errors, you can actually observe what to build next. And to us, errors are the intelligence. This is the best way to understand what your customer wants. And Dashbot actually makes it really great because they have this Sankey graph and you can understand where there are errors and where people drop off. And so my CEO, Shane, is always telling, like, we all invent those big words of, customer lifetime value. We always say to us, it's like, we're just giving a fuck. So really, it's about that. So again, tree flows. It's not about building tree flows. It's about building relationship, writing copy for what you don't know, and errors and intelligence. So going back, stop designing for average where you think your customer want, and try to listen to them a little bit better. So it's your coffee break now. Please come and say hi. My team is here. We're all sitting here. I would love to talk to you guys.
I think we have time for one quick question.
Great.
Okay, no questions? That's great.